Yeah. So this wave is in the Mentawis, and yeah, it's kind of it's a bit of an unpredictable wave, but man, I just became so in tune with this wave, and I knew exactly which waves were going to hit the reef right and barrel, and oh man, I get so excited when I see that footage. And yeah, I remember it. It was just like you're so deep and you know it's so shallow, but when you just make it past that like foam ball section and make it through, that feeling is just it's insane. I don't think there's a better feeling in the world than getting barreled. But yeah, I remember like the turbulence underneath my board, and I was like, oh, is it gonna hold? Is it gonna hold? And then once you just get over that little foam ball, it's like almost feels like a video game. You know, you've made it through like a rocky patch, and now you're like on the other side.
Yeah, for sure. And so, you mentioned you had finally figured out the wave. Was there anything particular when you're, looking at these waves coming in at you? And obviously every wave is a little different, but, just to give people an understanding of like the things that you look for in a wave.
Yeah, I think this wave in particular, when a swell will come in, I know that the wide ones would kind of hit the reef and either go super quick, or the shallow ones would kind of like not have this, you know, deep barrel section. It was almost like in between. Those ones were the ones that kind of like hit the reef, had a deep enough barrel section, and allowed you to make it. Um, but I guess you're just looking at like, you know, where the wave is coming, where the sort of steeper dark water is versus like, the flatter sections. And yeah, I think knowing the reef and knowing the way the swell is wrapping in is just so important for determining if it's going to be a good wave. Yeah, that those two dynamics at this particular break definitely allowed me to choose the best waves out there and, not hit the reef when I didn't make one.
Yeah. And so then you see the wave coming in, you paddle, and you get in. Like, what's going on in your mind as you're like, let's start from the beginning right here. What's kind of, so like, what are you studying? Are you kind of making adjustments as you're going through this? I mean, I also noticed like,
Yeah,
especially in contrast to the other wave, like your
yes,
foot is almost like in front of the trackpad here, and to generate speed, obviously. But
yeah. I was going to highlight that fact, like, my foot when I'm sort of racing down the line and in the barrel, it's so much further forward. It's almost like, you're putting your momentum on your front foot to drive you forward to get through that section. But yeah, it's when I want to get barreled, there's almost like a happy medium as to like getting to the point where, you want to be as deep as possible, but you don't want to be at the point where you're not going to make it out. So it's like you're kind of looking for that point of equilibrium where you're trying to get like maximize your utility out of the wave pretty much. And I think, yeah, in that case, it's almost like you're paddling into the wave. You're kind of trying to determine if you should take a slow bottom turn and then pulling up underneath it, or if it's going really quick, just like try and give one or two pumps and sort of race through it. So I think in this case, it's sort of like that speed adjustment. What do I need to do to get to that point where I can maximize my tube time?
got it. Yeah. And I mean, you are pretty deep here. I mean, you can just see that thing throwing, and that looks so far in front of you. I don't know if it's the perspective here, but
Yeah.
as you see that thing coming, are you, what's going on in your mind there?
Well, I even know it's like the lip hits me and I hit the reef, which I think is like a lot worse than trying to make it. So if I don't try and just go for it and try and make it out, like I'm gonna feel terrible for myself for like not trying to make it through.
Yeah.
So regardless, at this point, I'm like, I'm in this. I got to just stick to it. And the worst outcome is if I don't make it, then I hit the reef. But if I do make it, then I come out. And I'm going to try my very best not to fall, because this wave is extremely shallow. Like, but I guess that's what produces the best hollow waves.
Right.
So yeah.
Man, and you are so committed. I'm just realizing it looks like you're stepping on your leash right here.
Yeah, it's insane. Like I cannot believe how far forward I go on my board when I'm in the barrel. Um, yeah, it's so instinctive. Like you don't think these things through, you know. I just like it happens naturally, and then sometimes I'm like, oh, did I actually do that? Like, do I do that? And
Yeah.
so I think highlighting the fact that like, you know, you mentioned earlier that, you know, how what did I take away from this footage was like these small little elements. Like this for me, I was like, wow, that is almost a whole foot forward in front of the grip pad than what I was in my videos out of J-Bay. But in saying that, this is a longer board. I think it's a 6'2" versus my board at J-Bay, I think it's around like a 5'10". So yeah, it's very interesting to see this angle and the sort of foot placement that I've positioned my feet.
And you're, what drove your decision to ride a longer board at this wave?
So I think it's just the extra rail line, and because it's so powerful, like just having that bit of extra rail line can get you through these sort of turbulent sections. Like obviously now that little whitewater section there is going to make a chandelier, and I think just having that longer ball with the round pin just allows you to just have that hold when like a shorter board would just skip out, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think it's just all hold really, and it
Yep.
allows you to sort of paddle into the wave a lot sooner. Um, yeah,
Makes sense. And then as we get closer to the chandelier section, I mean, I feel like 99% of people would just eject at this point, looking at that right there. Um,
yeah,
and so how did you,
ejecting.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I said ejecting at this point would mean that you would hit the reef. So it's like you gotta just go.
Nice. And so it looks like you're lifting the nose of your board over that chandelier. Is that your kind of what you're doing from just to get over it, or?
I'm not sure, to be dead honest. Like I think it almost seemed like I did, right? But I definitely can't remember if in the moment I was like, oh, I'm gonna lift my nose over this thing.
Yeah.
Usually when I see a chandelier section, I'm like, I just got to go through it and
Right.
hope for the best. Because a lot of the time, it's when those chandelier sections come, it's hard to like keep your rail line. Yeah, it's kind of like I don't know, how can I compare it to like riding a bull? I don't know. It's just like it's so unpredictable, and once you make it over that, you know, and then you in the clear water, then you know you're fine. As soon as you hit the clear water again, you know you're fine. But yeah, to hit that sort of white watery section and try and make it through, it's so unpredictable.
Yeah. Well, I think it goes back to what you were saying earlier, about how you beat yourself up if you didn't go for it. Commitment, in a barrel is just so key. I mean, I think the best barrel I ever got, I saw the section throwing in front of me and I just was like, all right, I'm just going, and I lock in and, I just backdoor it. And I was like, that was the best barrel I ever got. But
Yeah,
it's so easy to be like, oh, especially if you're somebody that's getting used to surfing barrels, normally you're avoiding the lip, right? And you're going away from it. But in a barrel, you're actually going towards it. You want to go through it. So that's a big mental
yeah,
shift that people have to make.
for sure, for sure. I mean, like I say, it's the best feeling in the world, so why not take the risk?
Never know till you go. Yep, exactly.
Exactly.
All right. And then, yeah, you just get right over the section. Oh, that must have been the best feeling in the world when you got to the other side of that thing.
Yeah, no, I'm stoked, hey. Man, and we waited hours on end every day for just to like have this wave work. Because when it works, it's almost like people don't come surf this side because it's quite far away from the main camps. So yeah, we would just wait there for the right tide, the right wind, and as soon as those elements aligned, it's almost like the wave just came to life. Um, yeah, man, I
Well, look,
love this wave.
hey everyone, if you like this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button down there and check out our other videos because we got tons of great content to help you improve.